Well, hello, my name is Jim Royal. I'm a huge Beatles and Elvis Presley fan and basically classic rock in general. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. If you could do a thumbs up, that's always most appreciated. Go ahead and smash that bell. That'll give you future updates for new videos. And feel free to leave comments. I always enjoy reading them and I do my best to try to respond in a timely manner. Today I wanted to do a review on an album. This is called Wingspan, Paul McCartney. It is Hits and History. So let me show it to you. This is a UK pressing right here, and it was originally released on May 7th of 2001. And you can see the slipcover here, which is pretty cool. This is the UK version. And there are 40 songs on here. Okay, and then I'll open this for you. You can see the CD. I always love the art on the CDs. It's really nice. Disc. One disc, and then here's the other one. Now, when I worked at a record store, I picked it up. Actually, this is one, though, I got at Tower. But I got this one at Tower. I didn't work there. And it still has the hype sticker on it. Isn't that cool? See that? And I paid $20 for this, $19.99. Pretty cool, right? All right. So when this album came out, CD, it did very, very well. In fact, in its first week, it sold 221,000 copies. It got up to #2 on Billboard here in the States. It did very well in the UK and other territories. There are some minor differences which I'll go into regarding, different territories, what was on what, but pretty much it was uniform. And you had the hits on the first disc, and then on the second disc you had what they call history. So that is some minor hits, B-sides, album tracks, deep cuts, things like that. And I think it does a great job. It starts out on McCartney's first solo album, McCartney, in 1970, and it goes all the way up to Paul McCartney's soundtrack, Give My Regards to Broad Street, in 1984. Really nice. So this basically was released because there was a movie called Wingspan. And this was at least here in the States, it was a primetime movie that came out, and it did very well. And it basically chronicled Paul and Linda's time, their early marriage, the dissolution of the Beatles, and how Paul dealt with that at the time, and then how they decided to form this little group called Wings. And how that took off the ground, and they made their own way after, this mega band, the Beatles. How could they do it? They were interviewed, Paul was interviewed by Mary McCartney. This is one of Paul's daughters. This was a few years after Linda passed away. And it is just such a nice movie. There's also interspersed clips, videos, home movies from the time period, and it talks about Wings as a band, and it is just really a nice movie. If you get a chance, please check it out. So this was heavily advertising. I remember seeing it on television, and I just thought, well, this is really cool. So I was excited by it. Now, I worked at a record store, and I remember one time, for example, there was a guy who came in around the time of its release, pretty new, and I don't know, he looked like he might have been married and had kids, maybe 30s, maybe early 40s, but he was really looking forward to this. He, was explaining that, and I'll always, just remember that, because this appealed not only to the mega fan, but it also appealed to the casual fan. Someone that might like the Beatles, like Paul. This was a nice go-to collection of music from him. Now, prior to that, the first collection was Wings' Greatest. And Wings' Greatest originally came out in 1978. It was to fill a contract with Capitol. He then would go on to Columbia the next year. And he would still have one more Wings album. So Wings was still a band. So it's not complete. It has 12 songs on it. It's a nice collection, but all 12 songs are on the Wingspan. Then in 1987, he came out with All the Best. And this is another nice collection. This goes up to 1984. It doesn't have everything on it. Some things are missing, but it's a nice collection. Again, in my opinion, this is superior to that. In 2016, he had something called Pure McCartney, which was very confusing with the different configurations. It was different discs. As Paul said, he didn't look at it necessarily as a best of. It was more along kind of like a mixtape that someone would have to, put in their car and go for a nice, nice drive. And that's kind of how I look at it too. So let me talk to you about this. I know that we had this clamshell, not clamshell, but we had this the slip cover, and we had this special UK version at work at my store, and it was just too pricey for me. I ended up buying this just a few years ago because I wanted it, and really fell in love with it, just how great it is. So let's talk about this. Listen to what the man said. Starts it off. This was a #1 hit in 1975 off of Venus and Mars. Band on the Run is the next song on the first disc. This was another #1 song from 1973's Band on the Run. Then you have Another Day, and I like Another Day. This was the first single that Paul had. This was Paul and Linda from 1971. It was a medium-sized hit, not huge, but it definitely belongs here. Then you have Live and Let Die. This is from the James Bond movie, which was a huge hit for them from 1973. In fact, George Martin did the music, the score for that, if I'm not mistaken, and he helped produce this, and it definitely shows. Jet is the next song, also from 1973. This is from Band on the Run, another big hit from Paul. So as you can see, they're just piling the hits on here, right? The songs that everybody knows. My Love is the next song, and this is from 73's Red Rose Speedway, another #1. Then we have Silly Love Songs. This is from 1976, Wings at the Speed of Sound. Then we have Pipes of Peace. Now this is kind of funny, kind of ironic how they put that one there kind of in the middle. This is from 1983's Pipes of Peace. In the UK it was a #1 hit. Here in the States it was a B-side, I think, to So Bad, if I'm not mistaken. Then you have a curious, I believe it was a double A-side disc from 1972. This is Sea Moon and High, High, High from Wings. Sea Moon, I know it's a Paul McCartney favorite, and I know that's why it's on here. It's a cute song. I love when he does it in concert. High, 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 I believe, was the hit. It wasn't a huge hit, but it was a hit. Maybe a top 20, maybe a little bit better, but I like it. Then you have Let 'Em In. This, I don't think this hit, I think it got up to #2 if I'm not mistaken, but it definitely deserved to be #1. This was from 1976's Wings at the Speed of Sound. I remember as a boy when I heard this, I would be in my parents' car, they would be playing the radio, FM radio, and I would hear stuff, and I'd be like, hey, is this the Beatles? Or I thought it was the Beatles, and it was Wings. I didn't know. Then you have Goodnight Tonight. So this is from the sessions from Back to the Egg. Which really isn't represented on here too much at all, unfortunately, the last Wings album. This is a nice, I don't know, they called it disco. I would say it's more dance. But anyway, it came out early 1979. It has the last lineup of Wings on it. Then you have Junior's Farm, the standalone single from 1974. Cool tune. I've always liked that. I don't know, I kind of think it's kind of Get Back, and then you've got the Wings version, Junior's Farm. I mean, it's a good rocker like that. It's like a son of Get Back, in my opinion. Then you have the 1977 single Mull Kanta. So Mull Kanta also had, I think it was a double A-sided single. Girl School was on there. In the States, Girl School was played here. It was like a top 30 hit. Molid Kanta wasn't a hit here in the States, but it was huge everywhere else in the world. And in fact, in the UK, it was so big, it was a #1. It even outsold She Loves You, which was up to that point the biggest selling single in the United Kingdom. So it took over there. Then you have, so that's from 1977. Then you have Uncle Albert, Admiral Halsey. This is from Ram, Paul and Linda's album from 1971. Amazing. I love this song. It's one of my favorite Paul solo songs. It sounds so Beatle-y, and I know why now. We find out years later that George Martin actually had some involvement in it, in the production or arranging. Then you have With a Little Luck. This is from 1978's London Town. I love it. It's one of my favorite. This is the single edit. So that's the good thing. Some of these are single edits, which is fine because then you have the album and you have the long version. So this is another reason to own this. Then you have Coming Up. Now this is the big difference here. So in the United Kingdom, Coming Up was from McCartney 2, and it was from 1980. The studio version was the popular one. In the States, though, they had the B-side, Coming Up Live at Glasgow from 1979 with Wings, which was the big hit here. So on the American version, you have Coming Up Live at Glasgow. In the UK and other places, you have the studio version of Coming Up from 1980. Then finally, you have No More Lonely Nights, and this is from 1984's Give My Regards to Broad Street. Nice ballad, top 5 hit, and David Gilmour on guitar. All right, let's go to history. This is the second disc. So these are, like I said, these are nice album cuts, deep cuts, favorites, just sleepers in some cases. Just a nice way of rounding out Paul McCartney's, giving you an idea of Paul McCartney's career with Wings and some stuff solo. So here we go. Let Me Roll It starts it off. This is from Band on the Run, 1973. Now I'm going to tell you, this is very top heavy. This disc of Paul McCartney from McCartney, the first solo album. McCartney was an album from 1970. It was his first solo, and he plays all the music on it. Linda at times does help him with backing vocals. So here we go. We start with that, with the lovely Linda, which starts off that album, 45 seconds, a nice song. Really like that. Daytime, Nighttime Suffering was the B-side to Goodnight Tonight from 1979. I like that. And this was an idea where they needed another B-side, they needed another song, and Paul told everybody on a Friday in Wings, okay, go home and write a song, and then on Monday we'll look at it and we'll see what's going to be the B-side. So he challenged the band. I think Lawrence Juber presented something, maybe Donnie Lane, but in the end, this was a superior song, and it is excellent. Then you have Maybe I'm Amazed. This is from McCartney, and it's that version. It's not the live version from Wings, the Wings Over America. This is from 1970, and one of my favorite songs, and a nice love song to Linda. Then you have, after that, Hell on Wheels. Hell on Wheels is from the Band on the Run sessions, and in fact, it is on the U.S. version of Band on the Run, which is where I think it belongs, because it was recorded at that time, and that's just how I remember that album. Then you have Bluebird, also from Band on the Run, 1973. And then you have Heart of the Country. This is from 1971's Ram. What an excellent tune. Then you have Every Night from McCartney, the first solo album, 1970. And here's Take It Away. This was a top, I think it was a top 5 hit. And here it is on the history. I think it should go in the hits on the first disc, but I think possibly part of the problem was the fact there's only so much space on there. But I'm glad it's on here anyway. It's from 1982's Tug of War, and it's one of my favorite Paul McCartney songs. Then you have Junk and Man We Was Lonely, 2 more songs from McCartney, the 1970 self-titled album. And then you got a radio edit of Venus and Mars Rock Show, which I think is really nice. This is from 1975's Venus and Mars. Then you've got The Backseat of My Car. This was a song that actually started out as a Beatles song, or at least Paul brought it to the Get Back sessions in '69. Later it would turn up on Ram, and I think it's a nice closing to that album. Then you have Rockestra Theme. This is from 1979's Back to the Egg, finally, right? This had rock, different rock legends on it. Members from Led Zeppelin are helping out. Jimmy Page is on there. You've got The Who. You've got different members of them. And other English legends are also playing on this. And in fact, this was such a good instrumental that it won a Grammy Award for Paul and Wings. So that is really cool. Girlfriend, talk about the big sleeper on the album, in my opinion. This is a song from 1978's London Town. This was later covered by Michael Jackson and put on his Off the Wall album the following year in '79. And then you have Waterfalls. This was a top 30 hit for Paul in the United Kingdom off of McCartney 2 in 1980. It's a nice song. I like it. Then you have Tomorrow. So here is one of the better songs from Wings' Wildlife, 1971. This is their first studio album, and I've always really liked this song a lot. Then you have Too Many People. This is 1971's Ram. And then you have Call Me Back Again. This is another sleeper. This is from Venus and Mars, 1975. Excellent vocal performance from Paul. And then you have Tug of War, which was a single. I think this is the single edit on here. It was a song from Tug of War in 1982. And then you have a total rarity on here called Bip Bop Hey Diddle. So this Bip Bop was from Wings' Wildlife, the first album, but this is a different version. From my understanding, this is a filmed version of Paul and Linda out on the farm with their children, the wildlife around them, possibly Martha running around, and he's on guitar and they're singing this song, and it's just a cute little version. And then they do Bip Bop, and then they launch into the song Hey Diddle. And then the last song closing it out is No More Lonely Nights, and this is the play-out version. Now this is an edited version of it, but it is nice, and I've always liked this song too. So the other thing, if you have the Japanese version of this, you would have also Eat at Home, because Eat at Home was a single that was released in Japan off of the Ram album in '71. So what is missing off of this, in my opinion? Well, in my opinion, what's missing off of it is I've Had Enough from 1978's London Town. I think that should have been on there. That was a minor hit. I also think from Back to the Egg from '79, what tracks are missing? Old Siam Sir, Arrow Through Me, and of course Getting Closer. And then if you want to count the duets that Paul did, you know, like Say 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 from 1983's Pipes of Peace, when he does a duet with Michael Jackson, or even Ebby and Ivory with Stevie Wonder from Tug of War. You can put that on there from '82. But I also understand he's trying to do the band thing here more or less. And then the song So Bad from Pipes of Peace should have been on there in my opinion. And then finally We All Stand Together, the Rupert Frog song from '84. So that is my video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I would say that for your buck, this is really an excellent collection, and this is a nice deeper dive into Wings to give you an idea. There's a newer version coming out here shortly, another Wings compilation, but I just thought that on the eve of that, I thought I would do a review on this. It sounds good. It's fantastic. I like the sequencing. I like how the songs are put where they are. They all seem to fit. They don't go all over the place necessarily. And it is just a really nice listen. So thank you very much for watching my video, and you have a great day. Take care. Bye.